来てくれたな、タオパイパイ。
Tao Pai Pai, or known as Mercenary Tao, General Tao, whatever. Tao Pai Pai is, of course, one of the classic villains from the OG Dragon Ball, and I really do want to highlight him today. He is one of my favorite villains in Dragon Ball, and I think he's an interesting character to talk about. He's a character where, when Goku meets him for the first time, his name held a lot of power. Just the very mention of his name made people cower in fear. And that just is a lot to say about just an everyday human being that he had that much of a reputation, if you will. So I want to take a deep dive today into why I think Tao Pai Pai is quite an interesting villain. Tao Pai Pai is the younger brother of Suru Senin, the crane hermit, also known as Master Shen. The two are former students of Mu Taito, who's of course the teacher for Kame Senin as well. During the time there, Tao would show a lot of natural talent, and he and his brother even became rivals at one point because he was always just one step ahead of his brother. After their time there, Tao would then be part of the Suru's school, the Crane Hermit's school. You have Kame Senin School of Martial Arts and their School of Martial Arts. And for a long time, these two would train students. As we know, Kame Senin is over 200 years old. He's immortal, as apparently is Suru Senin. Therefore, Tao, the fact that he's alive in the time of Dragon Ball, has also found a way to immortality, probably through the same means his brother did. We just don't know how they were able to do it. What is interesting is that for Tao Pai Pai, we know him as an assassin. He's a legendary assassin. But once we get to the story, which he then points out that he had only been doing it for 20 years, work as an assassin. That's quite an interesting thing. Someone who could be well over 200 years old has only been doing this profession for 20 years. Therefore, what made him do it? It is such an intriguing thing. Living for hundreds of years to then say, I want to kill people for money. It's just a really intriguing thing that's never explained. And I do find it an interesting part about his character that he just at one point in his life reached a point where martial arts just was nothing to him anymore. Like he moved on beyond martial arts in a way. Though obviously he still had a part at the school because of the connection with Tenshinhan. The point is though that I do think that's one of my interesting things about his origin is that this whole being an assassin, if he is truly over 200 years old, is a very relatively new thing in his life.
なんだ、何、お前以外は全滅しただと。でドラゴンボールはどうした。それが思わぬ敵に出くわしまし。何としても手に入れるんだ。どっちにしても失敗すればお前は消されるんだぞ。分かっております。まだ方法はないわけではありません。貴様たちはそれでも天下のレッドリボン軍か。レッド総帥、貸せ。よく聞けイエロー。はい、レッド総帥。あと1時間だけチャンスをやろう。それでもドラゴンボールを奪えなかった時はタオパイパイをそっちに行かせるぞ。タオパイパイ。殺し屋タオパイパイですか。そこまでしなくても。黙り。例のガキ友どもここで一気に肩をつけるのだ。当然お前が失敗すればお前もタオパイパイの餌食にするぞ。はい。
In the Red Ribbon story, the Red Ribbon Army, of course, is the main antagonist. They're basically like a terrorist army. They're out to find the Dragon Balls. Of course, that means they run into Goku, and then the two will clash. Goku gets the best of them at every turn. And the Red Ribbon hasn't really shown any signs of being a threat. You know what I mean? Goku easily beats everything they throw at him. General Blue comes the closest to being a threat, but even then, physically, he was no match for Goku. Goku was much stronger than he was. He had his own special little psychic ability that could freeze you into place, but aside from that, he was no match for Goku and is easily taken care of by Arare-chan. But the point is, the Red Ribbon at this point in the story is a fun story. I love the Red Ribbon story arc, but Goku is having a fairly easy time. He then says, we need to send in Tao Pai Pai. Commander Black's reaction here, Toriyama starts giving these great little, like, you know, I guess hyping up this next character. Commander Black's like, Tao Pai Pai, are you crazy? Oh my God, you know, that's overkill. And we all, of course, at this point are like, who the hell in the world could give Goku, you know, a challenge? We all, you know, in our world, we think that Kame-sen's like the be-all, end-all, and Goku went toe-to-toe with him at the last tournament. So when we're learning that there's someone out there that's possibly like this terrifying, it's quite intriguing. Tao Pai Pai arrives, and of course, you know, we can take a look right here. He dresses in pink. He's got the the Chinese symbol, I should say, for kill. And on the back here in English, it says kill you. You know, will never forget the first time you see him, he looks like a villain from Bruce Lee film. And he looks kind of goofy. He's wearing pink, all that stuff. But his demeanor is what sells his character. When he comes into the room, he is completely chill, but he's got a big smile on his face, like he knows, like he is the real deal. He believes his shit don't stink. He can do whatever he wants. And he walks into the room and he just starts demanding things. Like Red starts speaking, he cuts him off. That is another key thing that, like, we're getting all these little pieces together of who he is. Until this point, we've seen that Commander Red, although physically doesn't look menacing, when he gives an order, people go, yes, sir, they're scared because Commander Red can just order them dead. You know, he might not himself be strong enough to do anything, but he has the power over everybody to make them do what he wants. Pai Pai doesn't care who he is, and that is intriguing. The fact that, you know, Red, who's the leader of an army, I don't care who you are. Tao Pai Pai's just like, I don't care. And he tells him, listen, I'm a very expensive man. I charge this much. We then get, of course, a funny little gag that is an important gag. Tao says, you know, I charge 100 million zeni, you know, for each body, but lucky for you, I'm doing a sale, you know, half price sale because I want to commemorate my 20th anniversary of doing this job. That, of course, is a silly little gag, but Toriyama does this for a little bit of exposition as well to tell us that he has been an assassin for 20 years. Kind of just gives us a little bit of background.
はじめ言っておきますが、私の仕事量は法外ですぞ。仕事をきっちりやってくれさえすればいくらでも払おう。一人始末するにつき1億銭いただきましょう。1億銭？しかしあなたはとても運がいい。今年は私の殺し屋さん20周年記念キャンペーンで半額セールを実施中である。一人につき5000万銭でサービスしましょう。どうも。
After Tao Pai Pai lists his prices, Commander Black steps in and is like, are you really Tao Pai Pai? Tao Pai Pai turns with him with a smirk on his face and says, do you want to try me and find out? To which Black's like, no, I'm good. It is, again, just a wonderful little piece of information Toriyama's giving us. Toriyama's got to work hard to hype this guy up because, as I pointed out before, nobody so far in the story arc has really made us feel any, like, real stakes, you know what I mean? Like, there hasn't been any big threat yet. So showing that, like, he's not scared of anybody and how everybody's scared of him, it's just doing the work to make us be like, all right, I want to see what this guy can do. Now, Blue comes back. And as I just said, we just saw Blue fail to kill Goku and fail to get the Dragon Balls. And Blue comes in saying, but I got you a Dragon Raider. You know, this is how they're finding the Dragon Balls. Red's like, that's not what I asked you to get. Therefore, you're dead. Red, that's his whole thing. You fail, you're executed. He says, but I'll give you a chance because you have proven yourself time and time again. Defeat Tao Pai Pai. And then, you know, you can stay alive. We get a fight here between Blue and Tao Pai Pai, which Toriyama cleverly does because we need to see, as I said, the only thing that came close to a threat so far is Blue. Let's see what he can do against Blue. Now, they are about to fight when Blue says, so you're Tao Pai Pai. And he's like, whoa, you want my autograph? This is important. It's showing us that kind of difference in generations here. You know, Commander Red and Commander Black are adults, and they're much older. You know, Blue he's like in his 20s. He's a very young-looking man. Anyone who's an older adult, because again, for the past 20 years he's been doing this, knows who he is and fears him. Blue, on the other hand, is like, I've heard your name before. He's like, what are you? He says, you're the greatest assassin in the world? Well, I'm the greatest killer in the universe then. Blue, as we saw in the previous part of the story, you know, when he meets Goku and all them, Blue is one of those guys, he thinks he's the be-all, end-all. And of course, he's young and cocky. So for this, he's like, oh, this old guy, you know, I've heard of you before. He's like, you're nothing. So he says, you can use any weapons you want. And Tao's like, I don't need a weapon. He's like, I'm not going to use my hands or feet. He's like, I'm just going to use my tongue to kill you. And of course, Blue's like, that sounds interesting. So the two of them fight, and again, immediately we get some fisticuffs, except that Tao, as he said, doesn't do anything except dodge every attack, swing, swing, swing. He's just dodging every attack with ease. Not enough to really hype him up, because Goku also really, you know, could easily dodge the attacks. Then we get the key thing. He uses his special ability to try to lock Tao Pai Pai into place. Nothing happens. It was able to lock Goku into place, but it does nothing against Tao Pai Pai, just showing how he is just leagues ahead of Blue. And everybody in the room is shocked when they see that. They get one last final clash, and as he promised he would only use his tongue, he swings in and hits him right in the temple with his tongue. Enough force that it just kills him. Straight up kills him. Silly, goofy, yes, but terrifying at the same time. As much as you can laugh and be like, that's such a silly way to do that, it's also terrifying that the fact that he could do that, you know, with just his tongue. And it really just hypes him up, saying, okay, Goku might actually not be able to beat this guy. You know, it kind of really does a good job of hyping him up. So now he's given his orders, and he's like, here's a photo of this kid, and he's like, you want me to kill a kid? And of course they say he's not just an ordinary kid, he's strong, all that stuff. And then he goes, I don't really care, to be honest. He's like, as long as you pay me, I'll kill whoever you want. Again, it's important to see how cold-hearted he is, that he's even willing to kill a child, you know, as long as he gets paid, that's all he cares about. They say, but there's one more thing, he's carrying 4 balls with him. Red and Black go out of their way to make sure they do not say what the balls are, just to be safe. Because remember, as I pointed out in my video about the Dragon Balls, you guys should watch that one, it's a good one, there aren't many people in the world who know what the Dragon Balls are. They are very mysterious. Those who have maybe heard the legend before don't believe it, and that's like Kame-Sennin. He knew of the Dragon Balls, but just never believed they were real. He never saw any proof. They don't want to tell Pai Pai what they are, just in case he's been around a long time, just in case he has knows what they are. So they say balls. They use the word balls in the manga and in the anime. They do not say Dragon Balls. When he defeats Goku and opens up and he says, I got the Dragon Balls. Wonderful bit that Toriyama did there. He knows what they are just by seeing them. So meaning he knows what the Dragon Balls are and doesn't care. Because another thing you could have done was to be like, oh, Dragon Balls, I've heard of these things. And then I'm keeping them for myself. Who could stop him? The Red Ribbon Army couldn't stop him. He's just more like, whatever. As long as you pay me, he's like, here, you can have the Dragon Balls. That is something really intriguing about his character, is that he doesn't care about the Dragon Balls. The most powerful thing in the world, probably. And he's like, nah, I don't care. Money is all he cares about. And of course you could argue, but if he gets the Dragon Balls together, he can make a wish. And, you know, I'm willing to bet he doesn't believe in the Dragon Balls. He knows the legend like Kame-Sennin, but he's never seen Shenron. He doesn't know it's real. He probably thinks it's a bullshit legend. And that's why he's just like, whatever, just give me actual cash and you can have your magical balls, sure. And I think that's an interesting thing about him. After this, of course, they're like, we got a jet ready for you to go. And he's like, no, that takes too long. He's like, it's over there, Korin's tower, right? He's like, all right, I'm going to take one of your pillars. He breaks the pillar off, as you see in the figurine here, and he launches it and then jumps on it and flies off. It is just one of the silliest things, but it's actually awesome at the same time. You know, he's able to That means not just launch it with enough power that he can ride it, but launch it to the point that he can use the exact amount of power necessary to make sure that it lands where he wants it to land, the exact amount of kilometers. And that's just, to me, hysterical. So he arrives, and of course, Goku, right, is, at this point, Goku's with Upa and his father. And he arrives basically saying, I'm the world's greatest assassin. And he's like, well, what does an assassin want, here, Upa's father says. He's like, I'm here for the boy. And Goku's like, I don't know who you are. He's like, what if I told you I came because of the Red Ribbon Army? And then Goku, of course, gets upset because he's like, I'm really sick of these guys. And then he tells him, he's like, yeah, I've been ordered to kill you and take the Dragon Balls. So Upa's father tries to be, brave here, and he steps in. He says, he saved my son's life, and therefore you're going to have to go through me. Goku first tries to tell him, this is my fight, you don't have to do this. But Upa's father is like, no. He's like, I'm going to protect you now. He comes at him with the spear, and Tao Pai Pai just grabs the spear with ease. Single-handedly, one hand, picks up Upa's father, who's twice his size, maybe even more than twice his size, holds him up in the air, launches him up in the air, throws the spear, pierces him right through the heart, boom, dead. That is how you make an entrance for a character, because right now, we as the audience, we haven't seen much death in this show so far. And seeing that, you're just like, oh my God, that poor kid's father, oh my God. And then Goku and Tao, they fight. It is the most one-sided fight Goku will have in a long time, until he fights Piccolo Daimao years later. But it is a completely one-sided fight. Goku cannot even lay a single hand on Tao Pai Pai. And that is something really awesome for this point in the story, because I love the OG Dragon Ball. I say it all the time. But, to see Goku finally have an opponent that he cannot beat. He is absolutely no match for. There's no BS. He's too hungry like when he fought Yamcha. This is actually just Goku at his best right now, and he can't do it. He tries to fight him, can't do it. He does the Kamehameha, and Tao's like, I'm not even going to jump out of the way. Does this, blocks, takes the hit, full force. It destroys his clothes, but he survives it. And then, of course, he gets upset that his clothes have been ruined, shoots his ultimate attack, his Dodonpa, and Goku's down. Eyes are out cold, Goku's out cold. It is one of the most shocking things to see as a Dragon Ball fan. You'd be like, is Goku dead? You're like, oh my God. Takes the Dragon Balls and leaves. In the manga, Tao Pai Pai has no idea Goku might even be alive. So when he sees Goku later, it actually legit surprised him, and he goes, how? And he can't believe his own eyes. Whereas in the anime, we get this whole, he believes now that, oh, maybe the boy somehow survived. And we actually get a really interesting moment where he's kind of thinking about it. He's like, how could he have survived? And then he's like, the Dragon Ball. He must have had it in his outfit. And it's kind of interesting the anime decides to give a little more, I guess you could say, intelligence to him, that he was able to figure out how Goku could have survived that. But hear me out here. Not because he's so smart he figured it out. Rather, he is so overly confident in himself that no human being should be able to survive his attack. Therefore, there has to be some sort of freak accident. That is the only way anyone can survive. What could hold back his Dodonpa? A Dragon Ball, maybe, he thinks. A Dragon Ball in the right position. And I think that's the reason he came to that conclusion in this scene. Anyway, we also get a cool little filler moment while he's thinking about this. He's in a bathtub. Not any ordinary bathtub, but a boiling water bathtub where he's even boiling eggs as he's taking a bath, showing how strong he is, that he can just, he needs water at boiling temperatures, like he can withstand it. Now, let's get to Goku with Karin Tao. We're not going to talk much about it because I want to focus on him. Those who know the story know that Goku goes up there and the water is BS. The water does not make you stronger. It's the work Goku put in, the hard work, the training, going up and down, many times, climbing up the tower and, trying to catch it from Karin-sama. And all that effort is what makes Goku actually much stronger. And it's the hard work Goku did, which is a recurring theme in Dragon Ball. That hard work, is better than anything, basically. When Tao Pai Pai does finally go back, first, of course, he gets his outfit made. And after his outfit's made, the guy's like, yo, can I get paid? And he's like, you want me to pay you? His line delivery, at least in the anime, of how disgusted he is that someone expects the legendary Tao Pai Pai to pay money for a service. And it's again, just one of those things showing who he is. He is so above society in his mind that he doesn't play by society's rules. He doesn't, pay money for services. So he then says to him, you know what, I'll kill someone for you. That's what I do. I kill people. I don't pay money for things. And of course, the guy's like, I don't want anybody killed. He's like, then I shall kill you. He kills this poor innocent man, and it's kind of insane in my opinion. It's just like, this is a psychopath who really thinks, he has a superiority complex. He just thinks he's better than everybody. Now, he goes back, and of course, we get the infamous, Upa's there. Upa tries to fight him off. He goes to kill Upa. Goku swoops in and saves the day. As I said in the manga, he cannot believe his eyes. In the anime, he's like, just as I thought, you survived. So, it's a little bit different, the reactions he has there, but we get the rematch, and he is not really able to do anything to Goku, and he can't believe it either. I mean, it's incredible Goku got that strong in such a short amount of time. In the anime, there is a short filler. Tao Pai Pai decides, I'm going to climb up the tower. I'm going to get the sacred water, and I'm going to now be stronger than you. And Goku's like, go for it. Goku doesn't believe he'll be able to do it. Therefore, Goku says, I don't care. Goku's pretty confident that he's not going to, do it the way he did. This does not exist in the manga. In the manga, it's just straight up Goku fights him, kicks his ass, he goes, throws a grenade, Goku kicks it up, boom. It is much more straightforward. However, as I've been pointing out, I like some of the anime filler stuff here, and I think that the anime filler here is just really cementing who Tao Pai Pai is.
これが調整水か。なんだこれは。どうじゃ、少しは自分の罪の深さに気づいたかの。誰だ貴様。こなたの主じゃよ。何、貴様が。しかしここまで登ってくるとは大したもんじゃ。猫の分際で偉そうに。お前こそ殺し屋の分際で偉そうに。このじじい。わしを殺すと調整水が飲めんぞ。早く飲ませろ。あっちへ行ってこっちを見ないようにして正座してろ。わしに命令すんのか。調整水は人前では作らんことにしておる。生意気な猫め。
So he basically tells Karin-sama, give me the water. He's like, all right. He's like, but before I drink it, I want to make sure you're not trying to trick me. He shoots a Dorumpa at a pillar and says, all right, nothing happened. When I drink that, I better see a change, or else. He then sees a vision of Upa down below, and he goes, the kid's in a perfect position. If nothing changes after drinking that, I'm going to drop this jar on his head and kill him. And of course, Karin's like, you would go so far as to kill a child? And, he doesn't care. And Karin-sama is really just like, all right, you're that kind of guy, sure. He drinks it, and Karin-sama uses kind of his powers to make it seem like his powers are stronger now. He then, of course, gives him a black nimbus cloud, so that he can fly down since he's not pure of heart. and decides to take it away from him because he doesn't want him at full power when he fights Goku, which is kind of hysterical. But he falls down, and then the fight resumes pretty much like in the manga, except of course they first have this moment where Tao Pai Pai is having an advantage over Goku, and it's like, oh, he got stronger. Goku gets up unfazed and be like, yeah, did nothing. The fight resumes the way it's supposed to. Goku goes in, kicks his ass with some really awesome animation shots there, and then that's it. Boom, blows up. What is important about this entire sequence, this whole filler sequence especially, is hard work is why Goku got stronger than Tao Pai Pai. Tao Pai Pai is the type of character who expects everything to be given to him. He does not want to work for anything. He does not want to pay for anything. He is Tao Pai Pai. You give him everything. And that type of mindset won't go very far in life. And therefore, he finally reached a point in his life where it just didn't take him where he thought it was going to take him, and he failed. And I love that about this. Years later, at the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, to everyone's surprise, Tao Pai Pai shows up, now part cyborg. After the Piccolo Daimon stuff, I don't think we expected him to be a threat anymore. Even if he tells Goku, I'm going to kill you, I don't think anybody expected it. But it does definitely show that he was, his resilience, that he survived that explosion is pretty crazy. Like, well, all right, so Tao Pai Pai is strong, we know that. But I don't want to talk much about this, believe it or not, because I don't feel it's going to give us any better understanding of his character. This is actually something Toriyama did for Ten Shinhan's story. Therefore, I believe this will be better talked about in Ten Shinhan's deep dive. After this, his story is pretty much done. However, in an interview with Akira Toriyama for the then official guidebook titled Dragon Ball Forever in 2004, Toriyama was asked, whatever happened to Tao Pai Pai and his brother, Tsurusenin? He's like, I don't know, maybe they just got mixed up in something really bad and then they probably just died. This is more just like Toriyama, he had never really thought about it, to be honest, because their characters were done in the story and useless. So I like that he throws it out there, and because they're bad, they were never revived, by Dragon Balls or anything like that. So therefore, and it makes sense that they would just keep having schemes and trying to do stuff and eventually would catch up with them. I do think at this point their reputation definitely went downhill, and there's a filler in Dragon Ball Z. Obviously, it's completely not canon. One, because it's filler, and two, because Toriyama himself said they were probably dead before Dragon Ball Z's events anyway. But where Goku, of course, runs into them during the waiting time for the Cell games, and Goku sees he's kind of a lackey for a mafia boss guy. He's not even in charge. He's like the lackey, and it's just really good because even if he did survive, he would be a nothing. He would be nobody. He lost his reputation. And it's just, to me, a really interesting thing to see that fall from grace. From a point where everyone in the world was afraid of his name to now he's just someone's lackey and he's just nothing, really. And Goku doesn't even want to kill him. Goku doesn't care. He's nothing. It's beneath Goku to even fight him again. So, and I do think that's kind of cool.
Tao Pai Pai じゃねえか。
何？
オラだよ。孫悟空だよ。
孫悟空？
おめえ悪いやつだったけど懐かしいな。
しまった。
Despite his brief appearance in the series, Tao Pai Pai will forever remain an iconic villain. He has no complexity, no tragic past, he's just your old-fashioned bad guy. But what stands out about him is that he has no grand ambitions like world domination. He just wants to live his life his own way, believing himself to be above society. Unfortunately for him, he encountered a pure-hearted boy who never shied away from hard work. Just another example of one of the themes in Dragon Ball. Talent can only take you so far, but hard work plus talent equal greatness. What are some lesser talked about villains that deserve to be talked about? Let me know in the comments below. As always, like, subscribe, and share, and see you soon.